Talking about the Hendo fight tonight, did you think they were going to stop that fight in the third round? And obviously you're glad that they didn't.
Well, I didn't know. I was never at a point where I'm like, oh my God, they're going to stop this fight. I mean, whatever happened, happened. I honestly didn't think it was going to make it out of the first round. I thought Henderson was going to finish him in the first round, and Shogun showed amazing recovery, amazing heart. You know, there were a lot of people talking, saying Shogun looked like he was in the worst shape ever, you know. Well, looks can be deceiving because he was in incredible shape tonight. He was hurt so many times in that fight and then comes back and wins the last 2 rounds, and in my opinion wins the last round 10-8.
I thought the same thing. I thought he won the last round 10-8 too.
Did you think it'd be a draw?
I thought it was a draw. Yep. I thought it was a draw, but it's one of those fights that could go, if Henderson won, if Shogun won, I mean, it's one of those fights that, you know, they were close. I don't consider myself a professional judge, but I had the fight a draw.
How would you rank this fight as far as fights?
One of the top 3 greatest MMA fights ever. Ever.
What the other 2? Well, what makes you say?
I don't know. I'm just, I'm giving myself some leeway because one of you guys might pop up and go, "What about this one?" I'm like, well, that was a good one too. You know what I mean? So I'm giving myself some leeway.
Is it better than Bonner Griffin?
Yeah. Bonner Griffin was 3 rounds between 2 guys who were trying to get into the UFC. Bonner Griffin is an amazing fight and an important fight for us at that point in time to get into the UFC, and it was a great fight, I think, for the mainstream people who tuned in for the first time on Fox. There was a lot of stand-up and back and forth and display of heart and will, and then both guys get the contract. I mean, literally, I mean, seriously, if this was the WWE, we couldn't have scripted that thing better than the way that it went for us on that night. But when you true. But when you look at the level that these 2 are at, and the big fights that these guys have had, and what was on the line, and going 5 rounds, and the way that this fight went, it was one of the sickest fights I've ever seen, ever.
I believe this was the first non-title to go into the 4th or 5th rounds.
Ever?
I think so. Since you switched to the
done quick.
Championship rounds and non-title fights.
Do you? Is this one of the reasons why you made non-title fights 5 rounds?
Yeah, well, you know what? You know how many times we've been sitting there and you're in the 3rd round of Henderson versus Shogun, you're like, damn, wish there was a 4th round of this, you know? But in the 3rd round here, a lot of you guys feel like it could have been stopped in the 3rd round, so maybe at the end of 3 we would have said, this fight would have never gone, you know, far into the 4th, but you never know.